Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cornelia, back in 9.17.1, I believe. I've reached into the depths of my folders for this one, and I found it very interesting. I thought I could use it to impart some lessons. So, let that be the first lesson. If you do have replays that you think are cool and good, but they're from... oh my word, that volume. But they're from a while back, send them to me anyway, because I have the power to play them. Okay, so, Butterman Jacob from SBN, the NA clan, which I don't know a lot about. I do, however, know a lot about the Jagdpanther II, which, as it stands now, is no longer present in the German tech tree. It's been moved to a collector's vehicle. And leaving the Ferdinand alone in the tech tree. And I must admit, given a choice between those two vehicles, I wouldn't have left the damn Ferdinand in the tech tree. Perhaps it's something to do with historical accuracy. I don't know. I do somewhat believe, though, that historically at least, the E25 functioned better when it wasn't upside down. Which, that one back there, at this particular moment in time, is. So that sucks. In any case, quite aggressive play from the Jagdpanther here, utilising 55 km/h top speed, 700 horsepower, and a 13.18 base horsepower per ton, got him into position quite quickly here. Now, this is what I find interesting, because yes, the Jagdpanther II is an aggressive tank. You can play it aggressively, but does it merit such a playstyle? Does it lend itself to one? If you're careful. Why is that? Well, because if I was shooting at this Jagdpanther II here, I would pen it every single time if RNG was kind to me. And yet, you'll see as this combat right here progresses, he's gonna bounce a, in my mind at least, ludicrous amount of shells. But what interested me about this gameplay is that that's not done so much by skill. Yes, Butterman's hiding a lot of his tank here. Yes, he's going hard down, but he bounces through the lack of knowledge of the enemy. And that can, at times, be as skillful as driving a heavily armoured tank and angling it well. If you know... look at this. Look at this! If you know you're playing against bad players, then you can get away with stuff that you never normally would, right? And this, if you know Jagdpanzer E100s, if you've seen mouses, if you shot the upper plate of a lever and bounced occasionally, you are going to look at this, you are going to see this, and you're going to be scared. Right? These guys are shooting the superstructure right here, which gets up to like 250 millimeters, and angled back like this, probably going up 260, 270, somewhere around there. But the frontal armor of the Jagdpanther II, and hear me here, it is abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. The upper plate of this thing is 100 millimeters of armor. That plate, that entire flat plate, including this machine gun port, as it happens, is 100 millimeters. The lower plate is 60. A lot of people, they don't recognize the fact that the Jagdpanther II's hull armor is atrocious. It's absolutely awful. Even when angled backwards here, I would wager on the upper plate right now, from the defender's angle, probably about 170. At the most. 170. At the very, very most. And the thing about the Jagdpanther, why I say this position is weird, that it provokes such a good game, is because there are startlingly few opportunities, startlingly few positions in which you can go and get the Jagdpanther to where it needs to be, perfectly hold down, utilizing its 6.5 degrees of gun depression, 1.5 degree less than the Ferdinand, which has 8. Look at this hull. Right, the gun is not so far above the upper plate, and this entire upper plate can be considered the weak spot when you are playing this vehicle. look at how far it extends. If anyone can get a shot into there, they will pen. They can get a shot into there, they will pen. If they can clip the top, they will pen. The vast majority of tanks that are shooting at you, in whatever position you get this thing into, will be able to penetrate and do damage. This KV-3 should be buttering through the front of this vehicle. This defender should be lampooning him. The defender died. I don't even know how he managed that. Oh, he got shot on by Artie. Well done. There we go. Now that's interesting. Super Pershing APCR. Now the Super Pershing is a really good APCR pen. 258 off the top of my head. Let's see where he put that. I don't think we can see the pen mark. Ah! Oh! That gives me stuff to talk on. Right in the gun mantlet. Not as unwise as you might initially think. The Jagdpanther II almost featured in my stupid weak spots video. Because the gun mantlet of the Jagdpanther II is actually pretty damn unreliable. Oh, I do have the funny cam mod here. Okay. So, the gun mantlet can, believe it or not, get down to areas of armor as low as, like, below 100mm in places. So, if you are faced with a hold down Jagdpanther II, either shoot it in the gun mantlet, if you don't have more than 250mm of pen, shoot it in the gun mantlet, or shoot it here. These spots to the left and right of the gun are actually pretty significant weak spots. If you have no other choice, yes, they are exploitable, but I must admit, in 36,000 games, I don't think I have ever found myself in a situation where I have been unable to pen a Jagdpanther II. I have never found myself in a situation where that has been a problem. Because there's always a part of this tank exposed. Always a part of it. Look at the model of it. And this is why I was looking at this game and thinking, I would never do this. I would never do this. And yet the other man here is not a fantastic player. By any means. I don't think he claimed to be. And yet, he's doing this. And he's going to dominate this game. Absolutely dominate it. And I found that intriguing. Like my Where to Never Go video in the comments section. There was a lot of discussion saying, oh, I've had a really good game here. I love to go here. This, and this. That. And I'm like, that's absolutely true. During the entirety of that video, I never said you can't have a good game in these positions. I stated that they are factually, tactically poor, which they are. I firmly believe that to the best of my ability. And yet in random games, you can achieve fantastic results by doing things that are foolish, that are really not the best play, because humanity. I feckin' love it. So, one thing to mention here as well, you saw him aiming at the Cupola weak spot of the Super Pershing. And the Super Pershing's got this reputation for being covered in space diamond, rightly so it is. But if you have about 246mm of pen, a good idea is, if you believe you can pen the lower plate of a defender, you can pen the lower or upper plate of a Super Pershing. Easily. Right? It is, when flat, at about 220. So if you can pen the lower plate of a defender, you can pen the lower or upper plate of a Super Pershing. So, yes, he was aiming at the right place, aiming at the Cupola here, but in this situation, damn it, it zoomed out, especially when the Super Pershing is angled backwards a little bit, I'd wager you got about an 80 to 90% chance of going straight through the flat front of the Super Pershing. It's a far easier shot than sniping for the Cupola, which is a bit trolly with regards to its spaced armor. But yeah, if you have 246mm of pen, which you find here on this 128mm gun of the Jagdpanther II and the Ferdinand, 311mm of pen with APCR, 65 with HE, I think. And pulling out the kill shot with a 5.13 second, 5.13 second, that would be quite something. 5.13 rounds per minute. Base reload, giving the base seconds 11.70. I believe. You can get that down to sub 10 seconds with your gun hammer and your vents, which is the equipment I recommend on this tank. I'd go with a hammer, vents, and probably binos to compensate for the 360 meters of basic view range, which is quite poor, 10 meters worse than you get on the Ferdinand, despite the increased armoring of the Ferdinand. It somehow manages to have better view range. Not quite sure why. And I talk about increased armoring of the Ferdinand, but it having been featured in my dumbest weak points video, we all know why I consider the Ferdinand to be completely and utterly obsolete. The Jagdpanther II, however, comes with my thorough recommendation. You have the mobility and the adaptability to really pull out some impressive work. And it's a very cathartic, satisfying vehicle to play. Although it doesn't have a turret, which generally precludes me from liking a tank, the flexibility has still kept this one in my good books during the games that I've played in it. It's been a thoroughly entertaining vehicle for me. So, now this game's gonna settle down a little bit, because being a one-shot here, I don't know. Honestly, this is why I tend to review my own games, more so than games that are sent in. I do encourage you to send games in, because, hell, this one's from, what, 9.17? There's a chance I might pull it out years down the line, right? I tend to review my own gameplay, because I know what I'm thinking. I don't know, sitting here. Let's just talk about the fact that he just said Tiger, fallback, RT at the exact same millisecond as the Tiger 2 died. But don't worry, Buggerman, I assure you, this is patch 9.17, the Tiger's got much further to fall out of relevancy, don't you worry about that. I can view my own content, my own games, because I know what I'm thinking. I don't know if Buggerman is aware of the potent lack of hull armor of the Jagdpanther II. I don't know whether he's aware that the SU-122 44 has 90mm of frontal armor angled back at 45 degrees. Gun mantlet can be trolly on that thing if you hit it. 390 alpha damage, 7.5 rounds per minute, rivaling the DPM of the old STB-1. Its hull is based on the T-44, which is a Russian Tier 8 medium tank. It has the mobility and adaptability when you are engaging it, especially on a one-shot, especially with RT in play. The RT has managed to decease, it would seem. Oh no, I'm fully. I'm talking at my ass. I don't know whether he's not pushing up because he knows what a dangerous engagement that is. And in this situation, it's not a bad play to play defensively. Why? Because you've got to think about flank balancing. Over here, you've got a T-29 and IKV, hopefully going to dominate this Cromwell. At the moment, I'd argue that there's certainly an argument to be made that it's the right play to just play defensive here and wait to see what these guys pull out. Because you've got to be responsive. If these guys die, if they get shot by an ISU-152, if the SU-122 44 pops up in the kill feed, you know where he is. And at that point you can progress in the game. But pushing in and potentially getting yourself killed is always dangerous. So, 4,500 damage picked up already, 2,240 damage blocked, but as I mentioned earlier, that damage is blocked through either the poor RNG or the poor game knowledge of the enemy team. I don't show you this game to say, hey, go and pick up the Jagdpanther II and do this, because I thoroughly believe if you do this, the majority of the time you'll get your ass kicked. I will tell you that right now. It will not go like this the majority of the time. You will die. This is not the way you want to play the Jagdpanther. And that's kind of why I found this game interesting, as I said before. Yes, this vehicle has flexibility, as we talked on earlier. 700 horsepower is moderate for getting this 50 6-odd-ton tank around at its top speed of 55, 20 inland verse, 20, not 20, sorry, 12 inland verse. It's quite a significant difference. 12 inland verse is only 4 more than the ship barn, which is well known these days for having a terrible reverse speed after the nerf, really impacting its flexibility. And so, in my mind, that mobility, that 38 degrees a second transverse speed, 37.88 on hard, 30.30 on medium, and what is it, 14.43 on soft, I believe, that should be used as motivated flexibility. So if you need to relocate from one flank to another, if you need to adapt, if you need to get into a good position, you should do that. Utilizing that mobility. What you should not do is try and press the opponents with it, try and flank them and stuff. It's just not a suitable tank for that due to the lack of a tank and due to the poor armor performance in the vast majority of circumstances. Now, bit of an awkward situation here because you've got an IKV chilling on the other side versus an ISU-152. Now, remember, back in the day, the ISU-152 used to have the BL-10, that's 286mm of pen with 750 alpha, ye old troll cannon. Now, that doesn't really matter if you're an IKV. Look at that little guy moving in the low ground there. Yeah, no matter what gun the ISU would, no matter what he's shooting at you, you're pretty much gonna die if he hits anywhere near you. Bonnerman here inquiring as to the HP. God, it's hot! Of the ISU-152, trying to discover some information. And this guy, now that was really lucky on both accounts. The IKV moved in, spotted that guy. It appeared just as he was deciding to relocate, just as the ISU had thought, okay, they're not going to come over this flank anymore, and so is moving the other way. His ass got lit up and got taken out by the Jagdpanther II. That is quite considerable luck. And so now, Bonnerman perching on the hill, trying to utilize this high ground, hoping that the IKV... Oh, hang on. Oh, God. Okay, apologies for that. I'm really not handling the heat well these days. Well, actually, far better than I used to be. I am getting off topic. Looking for the Ladley Waters here is Butterman. Now, I'm not sure at this point. When I was watching the replay, I really wanted to see a bit more, I guess, decisive action? I think that's the word. AG-15 gets shot down in one shot, but the M40 runs right into the path of a 128mm shell. Yeah, I wanted to see a bit more decisive action on the part of Butterman here when that AG-15 was alive. Now, however, it might well be worth trying to utilize the fact that they still have RT in play, trying to work with cap pressure, say to the SU, okay, you've got to come and kill this IKV, but the SU gets lit, presumably by the IKV, in the middle of the open, and this is going to have a rather anticlimactic ending, I'm afraid, as the GWB Tiger P shuts down the SU-12244, concluding a rather nice game in the Jagdpanther II. Just one that I found interesting, because it wasn't a massively high skill cap game. Now, the Jagdpanther II, although I say, you know, don't play it like this, the fact that it has the potential to be played like this, to have those good games, is always nice in a vehicle. And although I don't recommend it, because if you face me, or anyone rivaling my skill level, it won't work the vast majority of the time. And as I say, there's few positions in which you can work 6.5 degrees of gun depression, only exposing the superstructure of this vehicle. That's a really hard thing to do, because the gun is so close to the top of the hull. You've got strong armor back here, really thin plate of armor right here. You can imagine how hard it is to find a scenario in which that can work out well for you. So, Jagdpanther II, in my mind, a very, very high skill cap tank for what it is. You don't look at tier 8 tank destroyers and think, oh, I'm gonna play this tank for the massive carry potential, for the massive game and damage potential that it has. Or at least I don't. Perhaps that's a result of my playstyle rather than some kind of factually correct ethos or analysis. But the Jagdpanther II has that bigger potential for me, and I thoroughly recommend, if you've got the credits and you've moved up those tiers, try picking up this vehicle. Its mobility, flexibility, adaptability will allow you to grow as a player whilst you enjoy the vehicle, whilst you settle into it, and I think that's really, really good. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what other videos I've uploaded today, if any. I'm hoping I can get another one out, at least the tribute video. However, if you're interested, follow me on Twitch. The link to that will be in the description. If you want to learn what are the tanks, there's a playlist for that up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And, yeah, until next time, farewell.